These guys are tough, they are lost at sea, and since there is no food, they catch a shark to eat and then store the rest of the meat in their socks. But soon they are surrounded by dozens of sharks. This is a movie based on a true story. 3 soldiers are drifting on the sea on a life raft with no food and no water. They must do whatever they can to save themselves. During World War II, an American bomber is on a bombing mission against the Nazis in the South Pacific, but they are lost. As fuel runs out, the pilot can only force a landing on the sea. The plane soon sinks. They escape from the plane and rush to inflate the life raft. The 3 have a difficult night on the cold sea. The next morning, they are anxiously waiting for rescue. The 3 are pilot Dixon, bombardier Tony, and radioman Gene. After a while, a rescue plane does appear. They are very excited, but they forgot to carry the flare gun when they escaped from their plane. They have to take off their clothes and wave desperately. But the plane does not see them. They missed their chance. This is a war zone. The rescue plane will most likely only search for them once. Now they are on their own. Dixon is now in charge. He asks everyone to bring out all their belongings, but there is not much useful stuff. Now they have no water, no food, and even the life raft is a bit expired. To reduce the weight, Dixon tells Tony and Gene to throw away their shoes, but he keeps his own. He says that when they reach the shore, someone will need to walk to find help, and the 2 can't argue with that. At night, however, Gene discovers that Dixon is actually using his shoes to drink his self-made yellow Coke. The next day, the 3 are starving, and suddenly, Gene realizes that if they can do fishing they will be able to solve the food problem. But how can you do fishing without fishing gear and bait? Here's how they do it. They use a rope as a fishing line, a spring from a gun as a hook, a piece of red cloth as bait, and a pair of pliers as a sinker. Just as Gene put the hook down in the water, a fish takes the bait. But to their surprise, the fish here are even hungrier than they are, and their fishing line is bitten off. Soon 5 days pass and the 3 are starving. Tony even wants to drink seawater. Dixon immediately stops him. Seawater can dehydrate people, and it will make the situation worse. Since there are no references on the sea, they have no idea where they are. Suddenly, Dixon remembers that he has a pencil. With it he can draw a chart to determine their approximate location. Then together they make a drift anchor, which is used to control the direction of the life raft. Dixon is confident that as long as they follow the right direction, they will be able to see the land after some days, and the crew is full of hope. But now the most urgent problem is water, so they begin to pray for rain, and by night, God seems to have heard their prayers, and the 3 drink a lot. But there is still the food problem. Gene has been fishing for days, but he has not caught a single fish. Gene goes crazy. He grabs a knife and stabs in the water like crazy, as if that will help. Then the surprise comes. He actually stabs a baby shark. The injured shark jumps out of the water and lands right on top of Tony. The 3 slaughter it together, which seems a bit cruel, but they have not eaten for 10 days. They cut up the shark and then enjoy a feast of shark meat. Later, they put the rest of the fish in their socks, where the salt will keep it fresh. These meat can buy them a few more days. They relax a bit after eating, and Tony says he will introduce his beautiful sister to Gene if they can make it home alive. As a bachelor, Gene is excited to hear it, but just when Gene is fantasizing about Tony's sister, a group of sharks surrounds them. It turns out that the sharks are attracted by the blood. The crew is terrified, and they do not dare to make a sound. At night, while Gene is washing his face, his hand feels a sharp pain. He was bitten, and it seems that the sharks are still around. This reminds them that the ocean is a scary place, and if it wasn't for the life raft, they would have become shark food. They have been drifting on the sea for 15 days, running out of food and rainwater, and the crew is very desperate. Gene takes the gun from Tony, asks Tony if he wants to eat some meat, and then points the gun at the other side of the life raft. Dixon is sleeping and a seagull is standing next to him. Gene shoots the seagull. Dixon is awakened, and for a moment he thinks the Nazis are coming. Then he realizes there is food and he immediately jumps into the water to get the bird. Suddenly, a shark appears and is heading towards Dixon. Dixon desperately swims back, and the shark is right behind him. Gene tries to shoot the shark with his gun, but it jams. Fortunately, he climbs on board in time.
Look at the size of him.
By the 20th day, the 3 are exhausted. According to Dixon's calculations, they should have already reached the land. They begin to question Dixon, who admits that they should have reached the land 3 days ago. Obviously, either Dixon's calculations were wrong or they have gotten off course. In fact, the reason Dixon didn't tell them was that he wanted them to stay hopeful. Then Dixon confesses another thing to the crew, that is, he fell asleep for a few minutes while flying the plane, and that is why they were lost and ended up in such a situation. But Gene and Tony do not blame him too much. Dixon is deeply moved. Rather than waiting for an opportunity, it is better to create one. Dixon cuts his shoes open and uses them as oars, then they paddle hard in the planned direction. But by the 30th day, they still haven't seen land. Their skins are festering due to long exposure to the sun and being soaked in seawater. By night, it finally rains again and they are happily drinking the rainwater, but soon a hurricane comes, and the huge waves overturn their life raft. The three desperately hold on to the life raft and work together to climb up. They huddle together and survive the dangerous night. A few more days have passed and they are just one step away from death. Tony jokes that if he dies first, please don't waste his meat. Gene begins to have hallucinations. He seems to see Tony's sister smiling at him on the surface of the ocean. Dixon has given up and he starts to drink seawater. Just when everyone is about to give up, Gene suddenly sees the land. Is this his hallucination? When all three of them are certain they see the land, they cry out with joy. They paddle forward excitedly with their hands, and then a wave pushes them onto the beach of the island. The hut on the beach means this is not an uninhabited island. They are finally saved. This movie is based on a true story. Dixon was awarded the Navy Cross for protecting the crew, and Gene really married Tony's sister Frances. After 34 days of drifting on the sea and a journey of more than 1,000 miles, they made a miracle of life.